there are some out there that don the title Christian,
Sure.
typically with progressive in front of it,
Sure.
that would say, well, look, yeah, but you don't need to politicize your prayers. Jesus was against
Right.
public prayers.
Right.
Right. Okay. Let's dive into that for a moment.
Sure. Sure.
Where does that come from?
Sure.
That comes from Matthew chapter 6, verses 5 through 8.
Right.
Right. And this is what it says. And this is Jesus speaking. And when you pray, you are not to be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and on the street corners so that they will be seen by people. Truly, I say to you, they have their reward in full. But as for you, when you pray, go into your inner room, close your door, and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you.
Right.
And when you are praying, do not use thoughtless repetition as the Gentiles do, for they think that they will be heard because of their many words. So do not be like them, for your Father knows that you need what you need before you ask him.
Right.
Okay, so this is kind of where you go to say, and honestly,
You shouldn't be praying in a public forum.
shouldn't
to
be
begin
playing in a
Right.
public forum. What you're really saying, though, is that people who do that, politicians who do that, are pandering.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I want the evangelical vote, so I'm going to talk about prayer.
Sure.
Right. Now, Jesus is not teaching on performing public prayer.
Right.
This is not Jesus' stance on praying in public.
Right. Right. Right.
He's talking about performative prayer.
100%.
Some of the words that should key you on that are hypocrite,
Right. Right. Right.
right? Or that they get their reward.
Yeah.
You know, like they want to be seen. It's about being seen. And
Many words.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very much about pandering. This
Right.
is very much about, actually, I would even say that this is about virtue signaling.
Virtues 100%.
Right. I need you to see how righteous I am. I need you to see how holy I am. So I'm going to, in this context, it's prayer.
Right.
I'm going to pray loudly so you see how well I pray.
Right.
But it could very well be gloating about being anti-racist.
Well, I was going to say
this is virtue signaling.
In a lot of ways, this is the irony. It's distorted this way. The people who offer their thoughts and prayers, and then the people who criticize them, usually are virtue signaling. Like, well, you should be doing, whether it's amendments or whether there's this whole other. Look how holy I am, and look how you holy people don't. It's kind of funny because that's kind of what Jesus is talking about.
Yeah.
Don't get out there and virtue signal and say, look how good I am.
Right. So that's there.
Right.
And I think there is something that as Christians we have to pay attention to this. Otherwise,
Sure.
Jesus wouldn't have said it.
Sure.
We do need to avoid being performative. We do need to avoid using prayer as pandering, and we do need to avoid using it as as a way to virtue signal our holiness.
Sure, I will agree with folks that politicians do use it as a way to pander to a base that will maybe increase votes or maybe increase and I do think we have to be careful of that, because what Jesus is talking about is the genuineness of prayer.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is what we're commonly talking about is when someone says, I'm thinking and praying for you, usually they're not talking about this.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not, let me pray for you right now here in public.
Right.
It's this, you're literally in my daily prayer life.
When I go back and pray,
Right.
I'm going to be praying.
Almost kind of verifying what Jesus is saying. When I go behind closed doors, I will be thinking and praying for you.
Absolutely. Just to hammer this one more time, the context here, Matthew 6:1 gives us the context.
Yes.
Jesus says, take care not to practice your righteousness in the sight of people, to be noticed by them. Otherwise, you have no reward with your Father who is in heaven.
Right.
Right. These passages are about self-righteousness.
Right.
Jesus then goes on to tell us how to pray
Right.
in this same chapter because he values prayer.
Right.